Hello and welcome back to the Get Sculpted podcast. First things first, let's wish our girl Jordana a very happy birthday. Woo!
Happy birthday!
Cue the confetti.
Happy 43 to me.
Yay!
43 and fabulous. I love
Yep.
it. Okay, awesome. So today, to celebrate, we are putting out...
Doing a podcast episode.
I know, we're giving you a podcast. Congratulations. So this is an important one. We are going to chat with the woman right now who is already committed and consistent, but you don't know why you can't get past that point that you are now. And the reality check here is that the habits that got you started are not going to be the same ones that are going to get you sculpted. Okay. So we want to differentiate here why being just healthy and, being off your meds, not being overweight, not having health risks, and being visibly sculpted are two different things with two different standards and sets of habits. And here's what needs to change if you want to actually look like someone who works out. Okay. So first things first, like you might be doing a lot of things that are wonderful. And we want to acknowledge that, right? Like you're walking, you walk a ton. You're eating whole foods. You are having classes at the gym. You go to the gym regularly. Maybe you do your own thing. You drink your water. You be mindful of it. You're mindful of like all these healthy things that you're doing. And then you think to yourself, man, I'm doing all the right things. I'm like the fittest person in my friend group. I don't know why I don't look like someone who's sculpted. And let me tell you something, like this is exactly where I was too. I actually worked out more than anybody I knew. And I remember one time, this yoga studio that I worked at, that I did like this volunteering and got classes in exchange. Anyway, one of the other girls was like, so do you work out as well? And I'm like, is that not obvious that I work out?
Oh my gosh.
I'm like, I work out literally 7 days a week, but yeah. But that's the thing, right? It doesn't matter how much you're doing, because here's the thing. Right now, what you're doing, the problem is if you're doing all these good things and expecting a different result, you have to understand that the habits that you've implemented probably took you from like, I'm not the healthiest person, I'm overweight, I have body fat to lose, to like, you're in a pretty decent place, but you can't just keep doing more of that and expect that to automatically bring you into that next level.
That's right.
So, this is why like we want to frame here that these standards are the foundation. We're not saying not to do these things, but you need to build on that. Right. And what we're talking here is like, you want visible muscle. You want like, you're not even flexing and you're wearing a tank top. They're like, damn, look at that girl's arms. You want to have like defined legs and arms, that you look like someone who's athletic. You're not just someone who is athletic. You look like it too. You have low enough body fat to see your shape. You look like you're as active as you are. That requires a different level of intention. So I would love, Mare, if you could kick us off with the difference between what you're doing for minimal effective health to improving your physique standards.
Yeah, I love this. And you already started touching on it, that there actually is a very big distinction. And I'm not sure that a lot of women realize that, but there is a difference between being healthy, which is fantastic, and visibly seeing sculpted muscle. And also, like you said, the reason why this really matters is because a lot of women are practicing these habits that got them from, maybe doing nothing, being sedentary, to now being healthy. And then they are very confused because it is frustrating, right? Like nothing feels more frustrating when you feel like you're doing the work and you're not seeing the results. Like I think about your story you just said, like you're busting your butt 7 days a week and then someone's questioning whether you work out. Like how deflating literally is that, right? And so I know this might sound harsh, but we really we want to empower you with this knowledge. A lot of the things that we celebrate as healthy are honestly baseline adult behavior. Like they are just the things you should be doing because your body needs to be doing these things. So, just to kind of give you some examples, like eating vegetables, like making sure you're getting enough fiber. Like to me, that is basic requirement, ladies.
It's not above and beyond.
Yeah.
100%.
It's a minimum standard.
Like if you're in the red, if you're not doing that. I'm sorry.
Precisely, right? And when we talk about getting our steps or our movement and outside of our workouts, right? We always kind of aim for that 8 to 10,000 steps. Again, baseline. Like you shouldn't be getting less than that because your body was made to move. It was not made to sit down hours and hours and hours during the day.
God, no.
Right?
And that's the norm.
Again, precisely. You mentioned about like going to the gym or doing classes, things like that a couple times a week. To me, that's just like maintaining your body. Your body, again, was meant to move. And things like, not drinking every night. Well, that's a foundational piece. Like these are all things. So we don't want to minimize these things. Like, again, it's amazing that you have these healthy habits, these foundational pieces, and we love that you're doing them. But none of those things are automatically going to bring you to that elite level physique that you are looking for. So think of it like your healthy habits keep you out of the red, like you said, the danger zone. They make you a functioning adult human, but they don't put you in the elite zone.
Yeah,
so
they basically make you not sick.
Exactly.
Right,
Like we could do better. You want to do better. You do.
That's right. So just think of them as baseline. And I mean, if you're not there yet, that's okay too. But what we're talking to specifically is, yes, if your goal is visible muscle, shape, definition, looking like you work out, being sculpted, it requires a totally different level of intention. And so I think this is where high performing women do get stuck because they're already doing the things. They're already above average from the baseline. So they start thinking like, I'm doing all the things. Why isn't this, why am I not getting to the next level? But saying you're not unhealthy and saying I'm building a next level physique, two different standards.
Completely different.
One is avoiding disease and feeling good, and the other is excellence. And I think it's worth saying again, there's nothing wrong with either of those. You just have to know where you're at. And if your goal is those above average results, then your standards and behaviors have to be above the minimum effective health. That's just what it is, right? And I think it's important to add too, it's not about being obsessive. Like, I don't want the women listening to think, well, like that sounds obsessive, next level physique. No. It means that you're just ready to take that. Like, you're doing the work. You are doing the work. Why wouldn't you want to start operating like someone who is intentionally building something more?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a great goal to have.
If people are like listening, being like, well, what does that even look like? They should go back and listen to our episodes 2 episodes ago when we talked about the empowerment and the elevation phases.
Yes.
That's a great our series
March, because that's when you get really clear on how to understand what the difference really looks like and how to transition your mindset into an empowerment and an elevation phase, because they're different elements of how you're going to live your life.
I love that. Yeah, we paint the picture, I think, really clearly in that 3-part series where we take you from the baseline, like your foundational habits, all the way to this elevation phase where it is next level excellence in your physique. So I think this is actually a perfect segue, T, because I think we need to go over, what are the things we need to do to actually do it differently, do it next level. So can you talk to us about perhaps like the nutrition side of things, what eating like someone who builds muscle actually looks like?
Absolutely. And I'm excited about this too. And let me just say that this comes up a lot in the DMs. Like, I'll talk to women or like sometimes I have a conversation and they're kind of like, I don't, and by the way, I do think that this is a very fixed mindset. So, open yourself up if you're thinking this way. But, I don't know if I need any coaching because I'm already doing all of the right things. And I'm like, obviously you're not doing all of the right things because you would have your goal if you were. And it's also a different strategy. And it's a level of sophistication that you're seeking is not going to come from general people tips and advice, right? No. Like these tips and tricks of like these, recipes, all the things you talked about. Like, this is things there's a reason that this information is readily available and not everyone out there is like ripped. And not every person you see at the gym, maybe they don't all want to be, that's fair. But like, there's only a small number of people who are actually doing this at the elite levels.
Yeah.
What this looks like. Okay. Sorry. One sec.
That's okay.
Guys, I just want to take a pause because I'm automatically supposed to go into the pitch. I don't really like, I'm going to do that later.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Because that's a weird transition. Okay.
Work with us. Work with us.
Okay. So what I want to really frame for you here is that you're going to think different. And this is the psychology that I've seen with our clients. When someone is starting and they are overweight, and I've been there too, right? And unhealthy, you think it's like the world to just not feel unhealthy. And it is. It really, it's an amazing thing, right? Like, I remember, I was so winded running the mile in like high school. And I smoked cigarettes and did all kinds of crazy stuff, but I was also very eating like crap. Anyway, and I remember thinking now, like, whenever I run many miles, which is running marathons, but I'm fit enough to do that and it's not a problem. And I'm thinking, man, everyone should feel like this. That feels good, right? But then you almost think to yourself before you get there that I don't want any more than that. But then a lot of the women we work with, they're like, I'm still not satisfied. And I don't know, like, I feel kind of guilty that I'm not satisfied because I fit in my clothes, but in a bathing suit, I'm definitely not feeling great. Like, I kind of feel like just a smaller version of myself. Like, I'm not actually any toned at all.
Right.
And I'm at my goal weight, but I don't look like I thought I would at my goal weight.
Exactly.
So that's where you go wrong, because this is where we really focus on muscles. The standards you're going to have, this is the standards you have now, okay, as your 1.0 self, which I don't say that in a negative way. I'm saying like yourself currently, if you want to elevate from that, now you're at your 1.0, okay? Your standards are like, hey, I eat home cooked meals all the time. I eat at home more often than not. I move my body. I try not to, like, I really don't overeat. I really don't eat junk food a whole lot. I drink my water. I don't really have set meals. I don't really meal prep. I don't track my food, but I'm eating pretty healthy. And I try and stay balanced. And if my body if I'm on my period, I skip my training. Let's say, like I train sometimes I don't, but it's balance. So that version of you is going to be the one who built the foundation, but she's operating at a different standard. Okay.
Yeah.
So your 2.0 self, like this is the version of you that everyone is like, girl, what are you doing for your workouts? You are lean. You are like, commanding the attention of a room just because you are so confident. You feel great and people are inspired by you and you're inspired by you. So this version of yourself knows exactly where her next meal is coming from at all times. She has structured meals. She knows her nutrition numbers, or at the very least, like what targets she aims for, has consistent meals, does not skip her meals, knows her targets, has carbohydrates timed around training, and trains in a way to build muscle and really like knows how to train in an efficient way, is not training. But this version of you is doing that with intention and is spending her time wisely, not just spending it any which way to say she clocked those 3 or 4 sessions a week, right? She's training smarter, not harder. She's fueling herself for the result of building muscle and recovering better, not for getting smaller.
Right.
She is eating fats strategically for her hormone health, and she's just taking a phased approach to fat loss and muscle gain. She's not.
This is huge.
This is it. This is the whole thing.
So
She's not just taking a mishmash of like, I heard on a podcast that, tofu is a good source of protein. And I heard that like you're supposed to walk with a weighted vest. She actually understands what phase she is in, and her training and eating and lifestyle is focused on that. She knows her data. And might I add, this version of you is getting ship and support.
That's right.
Because she's not an expert in this. She's not a fitness coach, probably, right? Like, unless you are listening to this, she understands that she can't possibly know what she doesn't know. So she has someone helping her with this, with reviewing the data, with adjusting things based on like the strategy, not just the feelings.
Right.
And so everything your 2.0 self is doing is different than what you're doing now. She is elevating the way she thinks about things, approaches her day, and approaches setbacks. Is there anything that you guys would add to this?
I think also just she knows when to block out the noise too.
Yeah.
Like she knows what not to listen to. This, like when you're stepping into this new level, you've kind of graduated from all the extra voices. And our last episode was about like the skinny talk and the 90s vibe coming back. Like when you're in this place and you're in your 2.0 zone, you're not going to be distracted by those other things because you know what is the right path for you now.
Cut through the noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that it stuck with me when you were talking about the phased approach to like fat loss, muscle gain and all that. And we referenced our 3-part series. It's also like really understanding and kind of being okay with getting a little bit uncomfortable with the unfamiliar, right? Because we can't be in fat loss forever.
God,
so
no.
a lot of women, right? This is what we've talked about before, where they get to this point where they are ready to get to that 2.0 physique, that 2.0 identity. It's kind of like shedding the skin of all these other things you thought would get you there. And one being that you have to be in fat loss forever. That is the key to getting you to your goals. In fact, it's not. At this stage of the game, it would actually be the thing that's holding you back.
Yeah.
So really opening yourself up. And I think that's also where mentorship is so important, because there's not a woman that we've worked with who has started to ascend to this phase that hasn't had those thoughts going through their mind. Like, is this what I need to do next? Like, what's this going to look like? And so when you have a mentor who can help guide you, they essentially lay the path out for you. Right. And they're supporting you every step of the way. So you can do this in the most strategic way possible.
Absolutely. And I think to your point, Mare, like it's that women, quite frankly, want the 2.0 outcome without actually ascending to the 2.0 standards and habits.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is the thing,
You
right?
can't have one without the other.
No,
Exactly.
like on one hand, if you say, yeah, I want to look like I work out. Like I made a post about this the other day. It's like the dreaming is the fun part. You can write down anything you want. But like that's the easy part. Do it then. Like it's like, oh, I want visible shoulders. I want the big booty. I want the defined legs. I want the lean waist. I want like wear the tank top. I want to wear a tight dress with a flat stomach. Okay, but you don't want to have structured eating. You don't want to actually push yourself to lift heavier, not just show up to the workout. You don't actually want to strategically increase your calories and actually stick with it. You don't want to plan your food before you go out, and you don't want to actually learn how to be self-sufficient in the kitchen. Like
there's like a level of responsibility.
Yeah.
There's like a level of responsibility you have to unlock in order to graduate into your 2.0 self, and that requires different work. It requires different trade-offs that you're making, and being able to achieve those goals requires different behaviors.
Absolutely. And Jordan, I'd actually love if you could transition to sharing with us what that looks like in terms of like the building muscle piece to get there.
Yeah, this is so fun because I think when you are training for fat loss or a weight loss goal, you're really looking to preserve muscle. And so the strategy around it is, going to look one way. When you are looking to build muscle and you are in this phase of moving into a 2.0 self, you've already lost fat, you're really looking to shape your physique, we need to get so much more specific. It's not about like just being there to motivate you or be consistent. We need to get very technical and we need to get very strategic with your lifts. And, you know, like you said, T, there's a nutrition element that plays a role in partnership with the training. But when we go from consistency, like the consistency level,
just stay consistent.
This could look
it's not all you need.
Yeah, this could look like you having some random workouts. Maybe you're still doing workouts from like a magazine or an Instagram account or a YouTube channel that you like. Maybe you've been subscribing to an app where there is actually, you know, a little bit of strategy around the programming. Like you're like, oh, but I do an upper lower split. Like that is another level of training, but it's not where you need to be for building muscle.
Yeah.
We're no longer focused on sweating as like identifying a good workout as sweating. We're moving away from circuit style training. We're moving away from the same weights for months and months on end and feeling like you've quote unquote topped out. We are no longer just showing up. We need to tune ourselves in, and training for muscle looks really different. It means that there's an assessment done on your physique. Where are you maybe wanting to build up certain parts of your body? Where are you already quite strong? Where do we need to make sure there's symmetry and balance? We want to make sure that there's a structured split based on that. We want to make sure there's intentional programming based on that. So if somebody's working on, you know, building up their glutes, for instance, or, you know, creating more of an hourglass like that X frame, we want to make sure that the programming reflects that. We are typically prioritizing the back, the glutes, the hamstrings, the delts, because we want to be able to like build out that overall
shape.
Frame for you, that shape. And we want to be tracking our workouts. This is where having somebody to tap into to be like, hey, this workout versus this workout, like here's where I was able to push. This is why I couldn't push here. What's going to be like the next weights that I should be working towards? We actually have this super cool tool that we help like track out
with progressions.
You know, progressions for our clients with their major lifts and test their strength along the way. We help them lead into that so that we can get them to progressive overload, which is actually what you need in order to be building the actual muscle, so that we see the progress, and doing that in a way where we're lifting close to failure. You should feel tired enough to actually require the rest. If you're not feeling like you need to between your sets, girl, you're not lifting heavy enough.
Oh,
like,
God, no.
You got to increase.
That's a red flag.
Exactly. Yeah. And here's the other thing that I will say, like your consistency version might have been able to do, might like lean into like, oh, I was bored, so I just like switched out the workouts after 4 or 5 or 6 weeks. These are the same movement patterns that we're going to be repeating for months on end because you're working on technique. You're working on adding weights. You're working on depth. You're working on range of motion. And these are kind of the fun parts of training, right?
To me, this is the novelty. It's like, how much more can I lift, right? Like setting
that's
those
the
goals.
Point. And training is not for fun. Like it's, I mean, here's the reframe, right? Like I just do want to interject that I hate the quote so much when someone's like, all you need is to latch onto something that you could stay consistent with. It's like, well, not if you want to get results from it. Like, you know, if you do
long-term results.
Exactly. Like what is, like, that's the definition, right? It's like, if you want to just not be unhealthy, just move your body any way you want. You can do, you know, chair yoga, hiking, whatever. But like, you need a specific plan for that result, to your point.
Yeah.
So.
And what I love about the training element is you can get so much more, like people are like, well, I'm going to be lifting for the rest of my life. And I'm like, yes, you are going to be. That's the point. You're lifting for the rest of your life. And we're doing these like 6-7 movement patterns in different ways for the rest of your life.
I never get that argument. Because I'm like, are you not going to be moving the rest of your life? Like, what do you think the rest of your life is going to
What do you in a rush to finish?
Right? Like, I don't get it. Anyways.
But let me say, I think people think that way. This is the 1.0 thinking because they've done things that don't get them results, or they're you know what I mean? Like when you something
is a means to an end, right?
It's a
just
means
you're doing
to an end.
Yes.
It has to become who you are. Then you look forward to the training.
That's
like when you actually are strong and know how to make progress, and you're not doing a random workout any which way, you're like, damn, I'm really getting strong. I want to keep doing this.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where you'll start to really understand the strategy of your training and what you're really doing in the gym. And I think that's where it gets fun because you really connect like the knowledge and the why behind it. And then like the pieces that start to fall fall in place when that happens is like recovery starts to become more intentional, and you understand why there's rest days, and you can use those rest days to support your training days. You can stay in a build long enough to actually add muscle and see the shape change. And you have to be okay with gaining a little bit of weight doing that. Like the scale is going to change. And the more mature you become in the gym and stepping into that 2.0 evolved version of yourself, you're going to be okay and detach like the emotions that you once held in that consistency phase, in that initial weight loss phase. The scale played a big role in terms of like, am I making progress or not? In this phase, the scale plays less and less of a role because you're looking at different metrics for success. And I think that's where the
such
cool
a good
thing
point
is, right? And so with every new level is a new devil. And this is the devil of this level is you're kind of letting go of that long held relationship with the scale, and you're looking towards new elements that are going to define success for you. And that's where I think it gets insanely exciting. And yeah, would you girls like to add anything to that?
I would just want to add that like the big distinction for me, I remember moving into this phase myself, was that, you know, when you're in a fat loss phase, you're so right. Like the metrics that you are looking at are very much part of that 1.0 part of you that's very like scale driven, let's just call it. For me, the evolution was understanding the strategy. Like that's the other thing, is that this level, to take your physique to that next level, it does need strategy. It does require strategy. Otherwise, if you're just like winging it, you're not tracking data, you're increasing here. Yeah, the reality is you could gain a lot of body fat. That's why a lot of people rebound because they have no strategy whatsoever. So this is where I think more than ever, having that set of eyes that understands this level and they are that many steps ahead of you can help guide you, because it is hard. Like let's kind of just hold space for the women that we work with that are very scared at this stage because they want it, they've ascended, but there will always be those thoughts like, oh, is this really, like, we have to have these conversations all the time. But I think what separates the women who don't make it into this phase from the ones that do is that growth mindset, that idea of, you know what, I'm going to embrace this. And so I think strategy is very important because this can go one of two ways, right?
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
That's the thing. I do want to kind of piggyback on that, is that the women who are successful, they always ask who, not how.
Yeah.
So your 1.0 self is thinking like, okay, I'm going to MacGyver things. I'm going to go on Instagram. I'm going to save all these workouts, and I'm just going to keep staying consistent, and that has not worked out for you. So if you're like listening to this right now actually and thinking, okay, yeah, I get it, I feel like I've been operating at my 1.0, but I don't know what my 2.0 looks like, and I need help crafting that. This is actually exactly what we do. Like, this is our zone of genius. Take women who have the health standards, or begin with them often, and take them to physique standards. So we show you how to do everything that we're talking about. How do you structure this phased approach? We guide you through the phased approach. You know how to eat, you know how to train, you know how to actually build the body that you like visually, not just some magic number on the scale.
Right.
And keep it.
Exactly. We show you how to level up and to keep your identity. Like, this is not just something that's achieved in 6 and 12 weeks. So we make that very clear. So if this is something that you're ready for, and you're like, I do want to elevate my standards, but I just don't know the how, then we are your who. So make sure that you check out the show notes, because we will leave a link for you to tell us a little bit about you, fill out that form, and we will see how we can build your 2.0.
Love that.
This was such a great episode, guys. We really shared with you how you can go from where you're currently at mentally, physically, the standards that you currently have, and elevate them to that 2.0 version of yourself. Remember, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And if you want to get a different result than what you have to have a different strategy. And not only a different strategy, but you got to think different. You got to elevate how you're thinking and elevate the conversations you're having, the rooms you're putting yourself in, and really just the way you're operating day to day. So I want you to ask yourself this question. Are you operating at a health standard or a physique standard? And based on what you have heard, what do you think would need to change if you stop trying to maintain and actually elevated where you're at now? Something to reflect on. All right, guys. So this was a great episode, and I know that the next one is going to be even better. We're going to talk about how to stop that weekend sabotage without giving up your social life.
Definitely.
Awesome.
All right.
See you in the next one.
Bye.